Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Daggerheart, and we're going to talk about something that Bonus Action was talking about on his channel. And specifically that was that Daggerheart is already sold out. He called that first. I didn't hear that from any other news source. So it is you cannot order Daggerheart from Critical Role's website right now. You will not, they'll, you want to pre-order for whenever we get it, and honestly it's looking just like Shadow Dark all over again. Arbitrary scarcity to jack up the interest and jack up the price, which frankly I ain't with that. I don't like that. I like how D&D does it. When they say it's a release, it's an actual real release. You will find it on every FLGS. You will find it in the vast majority of indie bookstores. You will find it on Target shelves. You will find it on Walmart shelves. Their releases are real, not just FOMO for everybody, right? Like, not just FOMO for everybody, but influencers, right? And that's what that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now. I think the best way to understand Daggerheart's release is every influencer who's ever smiled at Matthew Mercer got a copy, and every influencer who is not a good little puppy didn't, and four people in the world, like four randos got a copy and nobody else. Like it was just them. Their release was them handing out the book to a few influencers, right? Like, and then like four randos got a copy. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real release. And I'm going to call that out because Dungeons and Dragons is called out non-stop all the time for, and Dungeons and Dragons is called out, for Dungeons and Dragons is mocked for having books on the shelf, right? Well, this isn't cool. It's not cool to arbitrarily jack up the price of your product, and by artificially printing a small amount. And there was absolutely no excuse for printing this small of an amount. And the reason why was there was no question there was going to be very high demand for this, right? Like, this is, come on, like they know, right? So I think it was very uncool. I'm not down with what they did. I think it's very uncool to do the release the way they did. All right, so now let's get all the way there, okay? So basically, Bonus Action is covering this in depth. He's doing very good coverage. I would even say better coverage than mine. He's done a lot of in-depth. He's been very transparent with his reviews. His stuff has been timely and numerous, right? There's some volume there and there's some quality there, and that's not easy to do, right? I don't think I do content creation. I get a lot of people up here who like insult my content creation. I look every time and they ain't created nothing. The only people I get complaints from are people who created nothing, right? Like, and so this guy didn't create anything. He created real content, and it was a genuine, and he's doing a great job covering Daggerheart. However, he is wrong. He is very wrong on a lot of things. So one of the things he said is, so since they're sold out, what they need to do now is they need to give us, some location books, some books that are covering, the world itself. We need a monster manual. We need a bestiary, I think he said bestiary. We need, some product support. And he could not be more wrong. He could not be more wrong. There is a huge opportunity, and I'm going to say it right here so that it can get some air, and I hope Critical Role will listen. Okay, here we go. Daggerheart should not do anything for the next 12 months. They should not print another product for Daggerheart except what they've already created. They should print the heck out of this so that people can actually get it in their hands. Why? Because this is not a product that lives well digitally, right? Because of the cards, you really need the physical product, right? So they should just print the physical product and really the core set, right? And from what I've seen, you can get the core set, which is like a 360-page book, and the cards for $60. That's an excellent price, and they should fulfill as many of those orders. They should have that on the shelf. They should do Dungeons and Dragons model. They should get Daggerheart out right now, just the core set, on every FLGS they can get to. Don't follow the Shadow Dark model of cutting FLGSs out. That was not cool. All right, everybody. I know everybody got nothing but kind words about Kelsey Dion. I think what she did, cutting out FLGSs out, was very cool. I do not think it was cool. I'm not impressed. I do not like that. All right. All right. Okay. Next. So they need to print the core set, let people get a hold of the physical copy. Now wait, Scott. They gotta, you talked about profit before, right? Shouldn't they be making tons of money? Yes, they should absolutely be making tons of money, but not with books. Okay, the sweetest plum ain't the books anymore. Okay, the reality is people need the physical copy of this book. They need the physical cards, and they need to get down to tables and actually start running this thing. And also, if they want, and they do not need to print another book whatsoever for Daggerheart. And the reason why is they did do an excellent job with those campaign frames. They are very, very good. The other thing is they also have done a fantastic job of supporting this product on their digital site. So you can get the cards downloaded. They also have blank maps. They have every character sheet. They've done a very good job of making sure it is absolutely digitally supported very, very well. Okay, that's very real and they're doing an excellent job with it. All right, but the reality is there's a huge opportunity here, which is print nothing for a year. Print nothing for until next May. Do not have a single product come out. And the reason why is let people use what you made, right? The reality is there's no need, like they've created a very fascinating, very engaging, very alluring product, right? And if they just keep it there's this huge opportunity, right, to not oversaturate with content, right? The reality is vast. First of all, new dungeon masters are going to be new game masters are. I've already heard another review to say this, and I completely agree. This is not the game for new game masters. I do think that you can get new players into this, but new game masters are going to flounder. This is way crunchier than Dungeons & Dragons ever was, and will be far more difficult for new game masters. And the reason why is it's all this PBTA, like a roll isn't a roll. Like, here, in D&D, you're like, oh, your roll failed. An arrow strikes you and you're losing hit points. It's not like that. Like, you could have a success and still need to think of some problem that they, every single, and they know it's a problem because they're like, hey, they even said in the book, like, if you're struggling to think of things, and they already know this because Narrative Dice did this in Star Wars, and it is a heavy lift. If you're not, like, I don't struggle with it because I'm an incredible dungeon master, but new game masters really do struggle with this, so it's going to be very difficult. But the reality is, if they don't print another book, it will give people enough time to actually master what's out, right? And the reality is, it would be the easiest thing in the world to pump out some more adventures. But I'll tell you right now, people will be torqued. People will be torqued. And this does happen. This happens on the OSR and the Indie all the time. This is definitely happening with Shadow Dark, right? Like, they're like, oh, hey, do you want the Western Marches? No, I would like to see the book on the shelf, please, after 4 years, right? And so that's the point, is like, we don't need more, we need better, right? And the reality is, if they don't print any product, that gives a very nice window, a full year for the community to just dig into what they already delivered. And what they delivered is strong enough to support a year of play. Right, and if they start pumping out bestiaries and all this, and it's not just me saying this, right? When the OGL came out for 3.5, they called them splat books. There was so much junk printed, and the vast majority of it was not needed and not wanted, right? And so this is a very important thing that you really need to understand, that that more is not better, right? We need better. And you're like, well, doesn't Dungeons & Dragons print a lot? Actually, they don't. They print 3 to 5 products a year, 3 to 5 books a year, right? And they've earned that after 50 years. They've earned that, right? I think it's extremely important that Critical Role does not print another book for at least 12 months. At least. I actually think they'd be better at going for 18 months, right? And the reality is this will get, and if you're like, oh, where will the adventures come from? Trust and believe the community will supply, right? The community will absolutely supply, and it will give the community something to do, to, you know, to put up lots of additional resources and let people just squeeze out the orange, right? Let's get the juice, right? And I think it's really, really important they don't print more, that they just let what they've already done stand, breathe, grow, and provide. I think it's very, very important that they do not print more. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.